Hello everyone, this is Kyle from Delinquent Duelists, and today I'm going to bring you my Dark Magician deck profile for the 2022 March format. Spoiler alert, it's 50 cards. Alright, starting things off, we have 2 copies of Dark Magician, 1 Dark Magician Girl, and 1 Red Eyes Black Dragon. We don't play 3 Dark Magician because it is a big brick. You never want to see this guy in your hand. You only run 2, 1 for Magician Souls, and 1 for Red Eyes Fusion. He is a big, dumb, level 7 vanilla monster that quite literally cannot function on his own. Same for Red Eyes Black Dragon. We only run 1 of him because we only want him for Red Eyes Fusion. Dragoon is just too strong to ignore. And then we also play the 1 Dark Magician Girl. She is just your extra soul servant target. You could play the Palladium monsters, you could play her, it really doesn't matter. They're all pretty mediocre by themselves, but she has some decent synergy with Magician Salvation, that's why we play her over the others. And moving on to the monsters, we have triple Magician Souls, 1 Apprentice, 1 Timaeus, and Sacrilege, but 1 Magician's Rod. Souls does everything you want it to do. Dumps a Dark Magician, a Dark Magician Girl. It can special summon itself. It can revive a Dark Magician, Girl, and it can send dead spells and traps to draw cards. It is everything. It is, one might say, the heart and soul of this strategy. Apprentice Illusion Magician, she is basically a searchable hand trap. You can pitch her from your hand to boost one of your spellcasters by 2k attack during the damage step, and worst case scenario, you can special summon her by discarding a card so you get a free body on board. Timaeus the United Dragon. Okay, this guy is definitely better than the other Timaeus, but only just. If he could special summon himself by sending a card from the deck to the grave, it would be fine. If he could send materials from the deck to the grave, it would be fine. If he could banish materials from the graveyard, it would be fine. But he is literally just a polymerization on legs, meaning he can be stopped with Effect Veiler, he can be stopped with Imperm, he can be hand trapped, and that's not good. That being said, he does allow you fairly easy access to Dark Magician the Dragon Knight, and sometimes you just need to wall up with Dragon Knight and kind of protect your stuff for a while, so he is okay for that. And he can technically let you go for Dragoon as well, which, you know, usually doesn't come up since you have Red Eyes Fusion, but, you know, you never know. And then the 1 of Magician's Rod, only play 1 of this because A, it's super searchable with Illusion of Chaos, but B, Rod just doesn't accomplish enough on its own at this point. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is all about 1-card engines, and Magician's Rod is not, in any way, shape, or form, a 1-card engine. You normal summon Rod, search for Eternal Soul or Dark Magical Circle. Well, guess what? You still need the other one that you didn't search, and you still need either Dark Magician in your hand or the grave in order for that entire trifecta of cards, that entire trio in that engine to function properly. And even then, 1 MST can completely derail the entire thing. It's a lot of setup, and it's very fragile for what it has to offer, and that's why we only play him at 1, because there are better normal summons that the deck can take advantage of. And speaking of cards that this deck can take advantage of, triple of the best boy in the entire deck, Illusion of Chaos. This guy is disgusting. He has no right being as good as he is. He's a Rhoda that you can keep in your hand and keep using every single turn. He's super searchable with Preparation of Rites, and another card that we're going to get to momentarily. And his actual on-field effect is pretty solid. It doesn't hit the field very often, if at all, but it's still a decent effect. It's a nice bonus, if nothing else. Absolutely adore this card. And now we're going on into the real meat and potatoes of this deck, starting off with triple copies of Diviner of the Herald. She is, by herself, bare minimum, a 1-card Verite, meaning she is a 1-card Dragoon. If you open her up with Illusion of Chaos, then you can get to Dragoon and Illusion of Chaos on board. If you open up with her and any generic extender, you can end on Crystal Wing and Dragoon. She's extra copies of Illusion of Chaos, because when she's summoned, you can send Herald of Arclight from your extra deck to the grave to search for Illusion of Chaos. She grabs your Rhoda that kind of helps kickstart all of your plays. She just offers way more in terms of what she can actually give you on board than Magician's Rod does. Same also goes for Black Metal Dragon. And Black Metal Dragon on his own is also a 1-card Dragoon, but he also helps get you a pseudo-eternal soul in the form of Return of the Red Eyes, which is just a monster reborn during your opponent's turn for any normal monster in your grave, aka Dark Magician. So at that point, the only thing you're really missing is Dark Magical Circle, which you can still get to relatively easily in this deck. And then to back up Black Metal Dragon, we have the 1 Red Eyes Dark Spell Dragon, because that's all part of the same combo. And then the last and final monster we play in the deck is 1 Cerebus the Ancient and Ascended. Searchable with Preparation, searchable with Diviner, and protects your monsters from being targeted. This means your Imperm can resolve, this means Timaeus, worst case scenario, can resolve. You know, he's just kind of a searchable Called by the Grave. Alright. Moving on to the spells, we have Double Dark Magical Circle. This card is really starting to show its age, much like Magician's Rod, actually. It is not, contrary to what a lot of YouTubers say, a pot of duality for the deck. It misses more often than not, but you still have to play it so that you can get the banish off of Dark Magician when he is summoned. Moving on to an actual real good Dark Magician spell, we have Triple Soul Surf. And this card requires just a little bit of setup, but once it is crazy. You can plus off this card like crazy. Being able to stack your deck with anything you want, then draw cards, it's nutty as hell. Then 1 Magician's Salvation, essentially just an extra copy of Eternal Soul, as it sets it directly from the deck. Other than that, it's usually kind of dead after you use that effect, so you'll almost always be sending it from the field to the grave to draw off of souls or to summon Timaeus. And then moving on to the honorary Dark Magician spell in Triple Preparation of Rites, a non-once per turn Rhoda for your Rhoda. What more needs to be said? And then the only Dark Magician trap we play is 1 copy of Eternal Soul. Since the main win condition of the deck is no longer established, the whole trifecta with Circle, Soul, and Dark Magician, you can afford to drop down 1 copy of this and be just fine, especially because it's very easy to get to. Now moving on to the extra and supplemental spells of the deck, we have 2 copies of Red Eyes Fusion. If I was playing a more pure 40-card list, I would probably play 3 of these, but since we play so many 1-card Dragoons as it is, I felt we could comfortably drop this from 3 to 2 in this 50-card build. You definitely do want to play 2 bare minimum at all times though, because if you open up the 1 in your hand, then your entire Verte play is dead, so always bare minimum play 2. 1 copy of Magical Eyes Fusion. Just to follow up after you use the Red Eyes Fusion, you can use this to summon another Dragoon or a Quintet Magician if you play it. Then we have 1 Hornet Drones and 1 Sky Striker Mobilize Engage. Again, just Hornet Drones is another 1-card Dragoon, and we try to play a ton of 1-card Dragoons in this deck. And Engage is just such a good bait card. Holy crap. If you go first and you open up with Engage, your opponent will 99% of the time ash this simply because they think they're going up against Sky Strikers. It's great bait. Alright, and moving on to some 1-ofs, we have 1 Advanced Ritual Art. This is just here to dump Dark Magician from your deck to the grave so you can summon Illusion of Chaos. Not necessary to play, it's more of a flex spot than anything else. Might cut it at some point in the future, but for right now I like it. 1 Monster Reborn, 1 Instant Fusion, just real good generic extenders. Instant Fusion summons Millenniumizer Strict, which acts as a Called by the Grave on legs. And then speaking of Called by the Grave, we have 1 copy of Called by the Grave. We only play the 1 because, well, Konami put this to 1 a long time ago and just won't give it back any higher than that. Really wish they would, but we can't have nice things, it seems. Alright, moving on to the rest of the traps of the deck, we have 1 copy of Return of the Red Eyes, Pseudo Eternal Soul, special summons Dark Magician from your grave, searchable with Black Metal Dragon. It's actually kind of crazy how much synergy a Red Eyes trap of all things has with this deck. Then Triple Solemn Judgment, Triple Solemn Strike, and to round things off, Triple Torrential Tribute. Now, sometimes these traps are hand traps. For the moment, I'm running just basic generic trap cards because I feel like hand traps are just very low impact for what they have to offer, and half the time it feels like you need to open up 2, if not 3 hand traps to fully stop your opponent. So for now, I'm playing these blowout trap cards. The theory is if you open up Dragoon with any of these, that is usually going to be enough to keep the game swinging in your favor. So at the moment, I'm playing these. Might switch these out for hand traps in the future. You never know. And moving on to the extra deck, we have 2 copies of the best card of the entire game, Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. This guy is disgusting. I hate going up against it, but I love playing it. That's the sign of a busted card. 1 Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight. Doesn't come up too often, but from time to time, you see Timaeus and Dark Magician, you may make a cheeky play and summon this dude to protect your stuff. He's a really good card. It's just we don't have any consistent way to access it. Once Branded Fusion comes out in April, I think it is, we may actually start to prioritize summoning this guy a little bit more. For now, he's kind of almost just more of a flex spot than anything else. 1 Millennium Eyes Restrict, that's your instant fusion target, called the Grave on Legs, we love to see it. 1 Herald of the Arclight, 1 Ultimate Tzolk'in, and 1 Crystal Wind Synchro Dragon. Herald of the Arclight, you send from the extra deck to the grave with Diviner in order to search either Illusion of Chaos, Cerebus, or Advanced Ritual Art. Quite a few targets for this guy to search. Ultimate Tzolk'in, part of more of a big brain play. If you open up Diviner and any generic extender, you can get to Tzolk'in, which in turn will help you get to Crystal Wind. Again, not saying that's the most broken board by Surge Imagination, but I sure as hell wouldn't want my opponent to pass their turn and I have to stare down both a Crystal Wind and a Dragoon. I'm just saying. Moving on to the links, we have 1 Artemis. Play this card. Ignore her effects. Act like she doesn't have any effects. Just act like she's a blank slate. You play her so that when you have to normal summon Rod and you have no other plays, bare minimum, you can link Rod off an Artemis and then tribute Artemis during your opponent's turn to add Rod back to your hand so you can use Rod again. And always remember to do that. Always play this card. 1 Striker Dragon. That is part of the Black Metal Dragon, Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon combo. 1 Imduk, the World Chalice Guard Dragon. Link Dark Magician off into this guy, get Dark Magician back in grave, you can summon him, get another banish off of Circle, and more importantly, you get a dragon on the field. 1 Link Spider, 1 Sky Striker Ace Kagari, and 1 Sky Striker Ace Kanya. All part of the same line of play to get to the 1 card Verte. And speaking of the snake himself, 2 copies of Verte. Always play 2 copies of this card. The first copy will get negated from time to time, and if you have a way to get another monster on the field, you can link that one up into another copy of Verte, so you can still summon Dragoon. Always play 2 copies of this card. It will absolutely come up. And that is it for the deck profile. This is a lot of fun to play, and at the moment, just trying to experiment, playing different ways to summon Dark Magician and make Dragoon and whatnot. Just trying to make the deck more consistent and flow better in 2022 because pure Dark Magician lists are so congested and the whole engine is just huge, and that's why we're trying to 50-card Dark Magician list so that we can break the mold and maybe find a better way to play the deck. So, that was the deck profile. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and tune in next time. See you guys later.